Okay, first off you have HDR, or high dynamic range lighting, which is a way for us to create more realistic sunlight effects in the game. What we want to do is take the real world sun and the beauty it adds to our world and put it into an online world. So you'll see more realistic ways of light reflecting off of surfaces. You'll see this sun bleed effect that you can see behind me, just making the light in the world much more realistic. Another thing we're doing is screen space ambient occlusion, which for us is a fancy way of explaining how we're adding soft shadows into tight areas and corners based on different light sources around in that area. So you can see here we're going from DX9 to DX10. It's just like a filter of realism that is added to the game. Improved physics is going to allow us to, for instance, when you're walking through grass, you'll see grass moving around your character, but even also when you're casting spells, you'll see grass violently rippling around your character. But when you're walking through the forest, for instance, you'll actually see trees blowing in the wind, and you'll see the shadows from the trees moving dynamically according to the movement of the trees. We're also adding some really cool fancy features, like this radial blur effect right here behind me when you do fatality moves. Another thing is volumetric point lights that just adds more size to lights, give them more glow, and when you combine that with volumetric fog that you can see here, it just adds a lot more atmosphere and depth to the different areas. Improved parallax mapping is going to allow us to bring out more details in the texture surfaces around your character. When you're walking down a cobblestone street, or when you're walking down a forest path, it just brings out the details in the ground around you. Improved specular reflection on water is going to allow us to, when you see the sun and the moon moving around you, it'll cast more realistic reflections on the water surface. But the really big difference is underwater, where we're adding caustic simulation that simulates the way light breaks through the water surface, creating this pattern on the seabed. As you can see here, going from DX9 to DX10, it's a staggering difference that is really inspiring our content developers to add even more underwater areas for Age of Conan in the future, of course.